You know, if you follow this channel for a while, when it comes to the Montreal Canadiens, I think that this is a year to acquire assets and beyond. I think that you have to be smart about it, but I think if there's a trade that makes sense, that fills a hole that they need, I think that they should just go ahead and do it, especially if it is to get a solidified center that they do need. Although, even with that being true, sometimes I hear a rumor out there, and I'm like, man, even that's giving me pause because, boy, it is giving up quite a bit. Or a player that I kind of just really like, and I'm like, oh, I kind of want the Habs to keep that. Now, obviously, that depends on what they have to give up. We have to put that stuff in context. We're going to be talking about some really interesting rumors that centers around one of their prospects that I don't really want them to give up. But guys, welcome back to Pixel Plus Hockey. If you can make sure to hit that subscribe button, it would be so greatly appreciated. And thank you so much to those that are already supporting me as well. It's obviously very humbling, and thank you so much. Now, like I said, when it comes to a trade, I would prefer the Habs give up their draft capital more than anything, because draft picks don't necessarily always turn into players. I'm not saying you got to give up every single draft pick, of course. And if you were going to trade your first round pick this year, you would have to ensure that it is top 10 protected 100%. But I'm just saying that they already have a bunch of good prospects. If you give up some of their draft capital, that can help you acquire a second line center. And there's a number of good center prospects that I think the Montreal Canadiens have that I'm not necessarily sure if they're going to turn into top 6 centers, but they're still really good nonetheless. Right? You have Owen Beck, Michael Hage. I'm not exactly sure if they can play center in the National Hockey League, because playing center in the National Hockey League is a completely different game. Let's be crystal clear here. But it just is what it is. But we have some really interesting news and information around Owen Beck specifically. Now, Marco D'Amico was on Twitter doing a question and answer on Twitter. I guess he had too much time on his hands. I love these question and answers from him. And there was an individual that asked a very, very good question. Quote, are the Habs still high on Beck? And do you see him potentially making the team out of camp? Could he be a part of the trade for a 2C? Very interesting. Now, this is where it gets more interesting. They still like him, but he was one of the players offered in the Dobson discussions. It could go either way depending on his play, close quote. So, I don't know about you guys, but I did not know that they actually offered Owen Beck in the Dobson discussions, right? So, they were willing to offer a center prospect with promise for a right-hand shot defenseman, number 1D. I'm surprised that the Islanders didn't take that rather than the two first-round selections, or perhaps it was one first-round selection and Owen Beck. That might make a little bit more sense. They probably just wanted to keep one of their first-round picks. Now, it's good to see that they do still like Owen Beck. I really, really like that. He is a guy that potentially could be somewhat of a solution to playing center. He has some ability there, but I'm just gotta press the pause button right now and say, listen, you gotta be careful when trading away your young center depth. I guess my ultimate commentary on this is I'm surprised that they tried to include him in a player that wasn't a center. That's what I'm saying. Because 2 first-round draft picks for Dobson made a lot of sense to me. Neither of them are centers. You don't know what the 2 first-round draft picks are going to be, so whatever. But if they were offering Beck for, let's say, Mason McTavish, and they were adding Owen Beck in, I would have absolutely no problem with that. Like I've said on this channel, I'm willing to give up a decent amount so that they can acquire the player that they need, and if they acquire that player, this season is going to be exciting for the Montreal Canadiens. They have the Calder Trophy winner and the predicted Calder Trophy winner next year. We don't know that for sure, obviously, but he probably will. But if they were able to get that second line center that they need, this would be one of the most exciting Habs season in a long time. Now, this article is essentially saying that they preferred Heineman over Beck, which I'm kind of surprised about. I don't know. I would have taken Beck if I was the Islanders. But this article makes some really good points. Quote, so don't be surprised if Beck is eventually involved in a trade, possibly to acquire an already established second-line center. Beck was therefore proposed to Matthew Darche and the Islanders, but they ultimately preferred Heineman. I find that pretty surprising. So, question of the video, guys. Are you with me in this? Do you think that that's surprising? I really, really do. Like, I'm genuinely shocked that they didn't go ahead and take that player. You know, when it comes to Owen Beck, if you look at the deep dive scouting reports on him, they all say that he's generally a pretty good defensive player. Now, again, we don't know how good he's going to play defense in the National Hockey League. That's completely true. Playing defense in the NHL is much, much, much harder than the juniors or the American Hockey League. But if he develops into a proper two-way centerman, watch out. He could be a lot more valuable than you think. I mean, this is a player that showed some offensive promise in the American Hockey League. He actually scored more in the American Hockey League for the Laval Rocket than even I thought he was going to. He got 44 points in 64 games. And again, let's keep in mind, when he did that, he was only 21 years old, right? So one big thing that I look at for American Hockey League players is at what age did they produce those numbers? Because if a 27-year-old does it, it's not that impressive. But if a 20 or 21-year-old does that, it's pretty impressive. Now, if he was a point per game player in the American Hockey League, that would be off the charts. But again, I don't know. I'm just kind of surprised that they were willing to do this. So again, just to shift gears right now on some little other information, we are still waiting on the Carey Price contract to be moved. It seems like they are, but it seems like teams want a lot from the Canadiens. I believe they do have 2 second-round selections. I wouldn't be surprised if teams want a second-round selection. I think that the Montreal Canadiens should certainly hustle pretty hard for that second-round selection, at least trying to get something back from the team. But we have an interesting quote from Marco D'Amico here. The Canadiens don't have to trade Carey Price's contract, but putting him on an off-season LTIR would severely limit their future moves if injuries arose. They would have $0 cap space, close quote. So yeah, I'm with D'Amico on this. Like, this is one thing that I've been very, very consistent on. Like, to me, they have to move this contract so that they can start to accrue cap space throughout the season. Because if they don't accrue cap space throughout the season, it handcuffs them in such a weird way. Now, the way we're hearing it from insiders right now, we've heard it from LeBron, I'm pretty from Marco D'Amico and Friedman as well, is that they sound very confident that it will get moved. I just think that from the Canadiens' perspective, they probably don't want to give up a second-round pick. I don't think they're going to have to give up a first. That's straight up not happening. That first-round pick is way, way too valuable. But that second-round pick, one of those second-round picks, teams are absolutely going to target that. Now, let's remember, second-round picks still have a lot of value in the NHL. So if the Montreal Canadiens are going to do that, they're going to have to look to get some kind of asset back, of course. I don't know, just in my opinion, I'll be pretty disappointed if they don't get an asset back, because a second round pick it's just very, very valuable. I mean, Lane Hudson was a second round pick, don't forget, guys. Anyways, I am going to leave this video here. If you can make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it, guys, and make sure to have a great day. Goodbye, guys.